pattern here. Here's where William Ernst Thompson comes in. You go through his 5 phases of cultural development. The first one is, forget what he called it, primitive Paleolithic man. Then it becomes agricultural, and then it becomes civilization, which is about 3000 BC, and then it becomes industrialization and plantization. In the civilization phase, he says the main archetypal structure was the temple, and they froze the sky, and they froze symbolism. They wanted to have these permanent symbols, which sounds Platonic. Those permanent symbols were dominant in the cosmology in the civilization phase, say 3000 BC up to the printing press. That's civilization. Then industrialization begins with the printing press, and because society got sped up with the printing press and other products, it no longer was the static, stable society of the music of the spheres that had the sacred geometry that a lot of this we're talking about refers to. The temple is the dominant medium in the civilization phase. It then becomes movement and interest rates and accumulation of movement in the industrial phase after the printing press, and then you get banking houses. And the stable universe of the civilization phase falls apart. So the temple is a major archetype. So knowing that Thompson stuff, I used to wonder if Ion was stuck in the temple phase. He'd go on about Solomon's temple and what we were going to do with it, and I wondered if Ion was in Thompson's categories, a replay of the civilization phase. Subsequently, Ion has done so many other things, I wouldn't limit him to that phase. But we could probably look at Ion. He's retrieving the original herbal plant wisdom. That's the phase 1, whatever Thompson calls that. He is retrieving the Neolithic phase with the Axian water, and then he's retrieving the civilization with the new temple, and then he's retrieving the industrialization phase with Coldplay, and then he's retrieving the plantization phase by the fact the I cell and Ion are affecting everything. So you could overlay the 5 phases in Iondom, all being completed, or retrieved to their original complete situation. Just a pattern occurred to me.
Ionization might be the next.
Yes, that's the hexatic, ionization. Yeah, go ahead.
Didn't Ion give an explanation like a year or 2 years ago that in your chart we would go through the Croker quadrant and end up in the Thompson quadrant?
The Thompson quadrant. He did say that.
And just hear you talk about the temple.
Yes, I've asked him a bit about that because on the surface level, Thompson is spirituality and religion. Cosmic awareness through Paul Shackley said, in every culture, the top of the culture is religion. Not the art, not this, it's the religion. So when Roxy's talking about the spiritual imagery in these different places, they're totally involved with religion, and that's the ultimate art. That's the original art. And McLuhan said everybody had to be a theologian. So the thing that...
But that would be also like one level of interpretation.
Yes. Yeah. But the spiritual impulse done by churches, and Ion said tonight, or we quoted him, no more churches, but the churching and the stabilizing in a building, which is like the temple, is the impulse of fallen man after the actual spiritualization through whatever substances they had back then. So the kitchen is first, and then the building is second. So Thompson, he's the spiritual religious source. So I can't remember the different things. Ian said different things, but I said, you're saying Thompson is more important than Coker because it deals with spirituality and what you're on about. He said yes. But he will talk about Thompson himself being stupid, and that could be the top thing in the hexatic phase, not the septad and the octad. Remember, the rules or the main things that Ion says are different from 3 or 4 years ago, but they could be representative of this phase, which is now ending.
Yes, because the problem that happened with everybody, with all these alchemists, is that at the end, they wanted to be mysterious, and they built very complex systems of illumination and scholarship and encryption. They got lost in mastering the art, the language, and this hiding of things. And it's really brilliant how they did it. Sometimes it's really because through the centuries, people were working on this environment, the ones that knew, and would, for example, put a statue that would point to some symbol, or there was an effect of light that will come and then light something up.
But see, it's a dangerous world. Aina several times told us that we could never say anything about what they told us, or they wouldn't tell us for then, because we would be killed. Aina said that many times to us. So there are crazy people.
Wow.
If they found out you got something, they will kill you for it. They don't have any moral conscience about it. They just want the vampire blood or something. And that's the way it would be back then. If they had something...
Yes, for example, Margarita, when she published, because Rabelais told her, publish your work.
Yeah.
She published this poem that then Anne Boleyn took to Elizabeth I, and that led to spying.
Spying, did you say? Led to spying?
To buying the America, some land or something.
Right.
It's like, but when she published the Mirror of the Sinful Soul, in which she says there is no death, the theologues of La Sorbonne were so angry, they said she should be put inside some clothes and sewn inside.
Sound, who's moving? Yeah, go ahead. They should put it where? They said she should be put
like inside like clothing, like clothes, and sew the clothes and with her inside.
Wow.
And then throw that thing in the Seine, in the river. And she was the sister of the king. And the king said, she was even reported to the Inquisition, and the king said, okay, take their charges. But she was the sister of the king, and after that, she was very cautious.
Right.
She made a lot of things that were published when she died, but she would not dare to publish them when she was alive. And she was the sister of the king.
Right. When you
even a queen herself.
When you listen to Ion from a few hours ago, when you hear that part of the show, you'll find out that Ion told me the other day that this Margarita is related to Roxana's mother. And then I went on about how Margarita is very close to Roxy right now, and he wouldn't tell us what form of closeness. And I think I wasn't there. I think I said, was Margarita still alive? And I think they said yes. Now here's the other thing. At one point, Carolyn heard this. She says, well, maybe I was Margarita. Okay, so she went a little bobbish, and he got megalomaniac. And I asked Ryan. And she probably very embarrassed she did that. But anyways, Ian said that, no, she wasn't Margarita. She was the woman behind Margarita.
Right.
That could be anything, but, so Carol was around this scene that we're talking about. And then I asked, I hope it's not too personal, I asked if Roxy's mother knew about this kind of stuff in her own lineage. And Ian said, it is they do not talk about it, they do not discuss it because it's considered too prideful. Too haughty was the word. In other words, the oligarchs have to look humble. They don't want to go around rubbing in people's faces that they're sitting on the house in the hill and everybody else is in the ghetto. So it's like rich people don't talk about money. It's vulgar. Now, you'll hear that from J.W. But it was interesting that Roxana's mother considered it almost a sin to talk about your roots like that, which I found very interesting. And I told that to Roxy, then she told me some interesting anecdotes that had new meaning for her about her mother in light of this.
Wow. Awesome.
Yes, and
Now, we're not saying this for anybody.
Yes, for example, one of the things that now I find very interesting are the coats of arms.
Yes, the coats of arms, yeah.
Because in the coats of arms, it's supposed to be like the program of your family, what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And
the program?
All these symbols have a meaning.
Your role, your function.
Yes, like your function.
Your purpose, your alibi for why you're better than the peasants. You know, your role, your accepted
No,
purpose.
like many people think this type of aristocrats were only exploiting the people, but it was a lot of work. It was not like...
No, that's true. It's like...
Like, for example, if you see... I was watching a video about the people that own Beauregard.
Yeah.
And the La Duchesse,
yeah.
She was saying, for example, just to repair one of the windows of the castle, she had to pay like 20,000 euros, and they're enslaved to these castles.
Yes.
Just to keep them.
Keep it going.
And to repair some of the things is impossible now because they need like a lot of trees and a lot of work and a lot of money that is not possible to have anymore. But it worked because it was another type of system. Like, I think it was your uncle in Urbino,
yes.
Federico.
Yeah.
He never lost a battle. He was a mercenary, and he will help all the soldiers that will get wounded in battle.
Yeah. He
will tax the people as little as possible. That's one of the cities in the Renaissance where Bob was active.
I think this was me. This is the nice Bob. Help people.
He made the most wonderful castle in the Renaissance, and Machiavelli was inspired on this guy to make the prince. But they...
You mean Machiavelli?
Really,
wait. Yeah. He inspired Machiavelli's The Prince, what you're saying, right?
Yes, because they say that his court was the only real court where gentlemen were gentlemen, and it was really like the ideal. He has a painting in which he portrays the ideal city. He really wanted to create the ideal, beautiful world of the completion. And this is the family in which Bob was acting in the Medici time.
Well, I had a point there. We were saying Margarita. Always remember, this is a big deal in Ezra Pound's cantos. Like, Pound said a society that didn't do usury, didn't charge interest, would make beautiful art. And I think this guy was not a usurious. The Urbino people weren't involved in usury. So they made beautiful art. And then Pound would document and write poetry about those places that did have usury would become corrupt art and failure.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's a major theme in Pound about the cantos. It relates to this.
That relates.
And so, go ahead.
That relates to the frequency that Roxy was talking about earlier about the harmonious living.
Yeah.
Yes, that the adept has to create an environment around him. He has to perfect himself and his environment the best he can.
Right now,
so that's part of his work.
Right now, we're not trying to make people feel less than because of Roxy's mother or something. And we're not talking about the aristocrats because they're greater than us. We're talking about how they, in the end, pointed to us, but they failed. That's the point here. They're less than us, is the way I would look at it. They were really good at what they did, but they were stuck in their time. Unless there were a few of them that were successful, but they went on to become eternal and didn't bother making anything because they lived on another level of manifestation.
Yes, but for example, this thing with the function that is on the coat of arms. For example, the family of my mother.
Yeah.
The saint patron is Saint Andrew. And St. Andrew was crucified in a cross that is like an X. That's why in many flags you have this X.
What's an X? You mean an X?
Yeah, like
the cross.
The letter, the cross.
Yeah, X, Y, Z. The letter before Y. Right?
The
letter before Y? You're going to agree with that? The letter before Y?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
It's the symbol of Invictus, of not losing, because even though he was crucified, he will not stop talking about the real religion to the people.
He died
so that's
talking.
One of our, yeah, so that's one of our duties that we have to tell everybody about the true, inform, push, and report, even if we are crucified and ridiculed.
That's right. You keep the word going. Hey, Alyssa, Roxy's great aunts, two of them, formed the main convent in Mexico. They were part of that was a responsibility to start a religion, basically, or continue the Catholic religion in Mexico. And they're known.
Wow.
They're famous for being women
that?
who wrote books. They wrote books in the 19th century. Rare women writers.
Yes, because they travel a lot.
How did they get into that, Roxy?
Well, their father was
I wanted to be. No.
They had a sense of responsibility. It's their religion. You know, Christianity is, they're in charge of it. They want the people to believe it, so they have to be good examples. And they have to take it seriously.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but it's like, for example, the first king of France, he was baptized in Saint Remy by Saint Martin.
Ah.
And they will go around in France and convert all the people.
Yeah, once he was baptized.
Yeah, they thought it was really their duty to bring this truth to the people in the hope of eternal life. That is not like you think that you're going to be a little man forever.
Right.
There is this resurrection, this transmutation, and that's what McLuhan saw in Christianity that moved him to say this is the true religion, because it's the religion that
celebrates the body.
Well, and also has the information about the completion and the remagnesium and the rebooting. That it was all like a metaphor. They had all the words. Also, the alchemists, you know, they were looking for the stones, and they were saying it was about the transmutation of the metals.
Yeah.
And all these things that are happening now in for real. That metals, all the elements are changing.
Right.
And everything they say, all these ideas, these great ideas they had, is really what is happening now. That your blood is not only a symbol of you taking the wine and the bread. It's really for real that
and when you go, and I am telling you, when you go to the hospital, they're going to notice your blood. Now, who dispenses that information? Nobody ever even thought of saying it. Be careful. When you go to the hospital, they're going to get puzzled by your innards. What is that I was going to say? So that Alyssa, I say that over the ideas that Ion has said are the most original in 50 years. No, this idea of telling people to watch out when they check your blood, you never heard of that. You never even knew that was a possibility, that it could change. That's an idea Ion invented, you could say. That's an original idea, original thing to say to people.
But it makes sense with the RNA.
Very.
Drop.
Yes. Yes.
And
so there's a connection of logic there.
Yep.
When the French kings converted to Christianity, they adopted this lapis lazuli blue as their color.
Oh, I love
and
that.
Also the flower of lis.
Wow.
And,
the fleur de lis.
It's also very interesting because the blue lotus, the blue lis, is the one in France. But, for example, Florence had the red one, and then the America had the white Mayflower, which is also a type of this flower.
Wow, yeah.
And these are the colors of the banners of England, France, and America.
Right. And so, Alyssa...
Great pattern, Roxana.
Yeah, the father...
Wow.
Right. The father of the two nuns, or her aunts that become the form of the convent, that father, I think, was him, or his father, arranged for Maximilian III over there in Austria to come over and take over Mexico in like 1850 or 1860. The conspiracy, LaRouche's view is that Maximilian was working for the European oligarchy to form a front at the southern flank of the United States to topple the Republic of Abraham Lincoln, or people around his time. That's the negative view of Maximilian. But Roxy told me that Maximilian actually was a very benevolent emperor and actually did a lot for the people.
Yes, really. He made education for everybody, public education. He avoided the segregation of the caste.
Yeah.
The physical punishment, and he separated the church from the government. He took a lot of the possessions of the church and gave to the people, distributed to the people, and that's why Napoleon was having a war with the Prussians, so they could not sustain him in Mexico. And they left it. The church and the other aristocrats didn't help Maximilian because they thought he was too liberal, and nobody helped him, and then he was
captured.
Yeah.
So there's this. Hey, Alyssa, there's this painting of the father of. Would he be the father of the aunt?
Okay.
Is it the father that offered the crown of the aunt?
Yes, he was a diplomat.
Right. So there's a painting of him presenting the crown to, with all his delegation, all the other Mexican guys behind him, presenting the crown to Maximilian. Now, because Maximilian went down, then this guy, her great-grandfather, he was in trouble too, so they had to go underground, and they all retreated back to Germany because her great-grandfather had been the diplomat to Germany.
Collaborator.
Yeah.
Yes, but there is this type of secret history, because I was reading about another guy that I wanted to ask Ian about. His name was René Robert Cavalier de la Salle.
Wow.
And he was sent by King Louis XIV to set a colony in Florida and Louisiana.
Yeah.
And he immigrated to Canada when he was 22 in 1666. He went to Canada, and then from there he was sent by the king to make this French colony in America, and from there they were planning to invade Mexico. But I found it interesting that the name of this guy is René Robert.
René Bob, yeah. Now
and,
what?
There's a lot of 22 in his life.
But where was the French colony that was going to invade the States? Where was this?
Well, La Louisiana.
Oh, Louisiana.
Florida.
Louisiana. Oh, okay.
That was from the French.
Right. But and the guy goes to Canada. That's pretty diluted. Why would he go to Canada? What's up there?
I have no idea. You have to ask.
He was looking for me, or it was me planting the treasure in Oak Island. I suspect this guy was another version of me.
Yeah, maybe it was your father or you, because he has both names.
He was my doppelganger.
Robert.
He was from another world, operating on the same points, but from from another world's perspective, he came to our world to act out the future, to mime it, to prepare it.
Yes, and another thing that was very interesting that Diane said, that Virginia is not part of America. And, for example, that
it's owned by the Queen.
It's all these portals, and that America came out of these portals.
Wait.
And these things they know.
Virginia, America?
They know this.
Yeah, it's called the Commonwealth of Virginia, and there's a whole bunch of law that's subject to a deal that the Queen, well, the royalty of England made with the 19th century people that, or maybe even earlier, that kept the Queen and the royal family in control of it. They run Virginia. Remember when in May 2007, when that kid went nuts at Virginia Tech and killed some students? All right?
Yeah.
At the time, unless it was 2009, I'm imagining I'm talking to Ion about it, but maybe before Ion, the Queen visited Virginia right during those weeks. So why was the Queen happening there? And she never comes to America. It's a big problem when the Queen comes. So there was a connection between the Queen coming to Virginia and a deal she had to make, and this is in the battle after 2006 when the whole economy went kaput all over the world in 2006. So then a year or two later, the Queen had to come to America to check up on her gold, and she had to do something in Virginia. And then this massacre happened, quote, as a distraction, whatever. I don't know the way to interpret it, but it was connected. And so why are we talking about that? That's Virginia, and
well, because of the connection with the Americas and the French.
Yeah.
That there is this secret history, this secret things going on behind.
And you know where you read that in Finnegan's Wake? You go to page 570 of Finnegan's Wake, 570 to 572, an incredible 3 pages of the battle over this check, this responsibility, this debt between the Catholics and the Protestants, and how they hand it back and forth to each other in conflict. Remember, the Queen is a Protestant, and it comes into, it's against the Catholic French.
Yes, and for example, another example of this green language, the
I was going to ask you, what is that phrase from? Where's the green language from? Is that Fulcanelli?
Yes, that's how the Hermetics call this type of mastery of language.
Now you look on the church.
You also have the thing with Amer. If you look at it in reverse, green max, you have Amer and the word mer, and he will play with all these type of things that are in the word
right.
That he will say there's a lot in the words, in the anagrams, in the combinations you can do with the letters of a word.
That's one of the basic lessons of Finnegan's Wake, is that Joyce writes a book and plays with combining the letters in different directions to get out of your linear alphabetic hypnosis that you're taught as a child. You read linearly. Words have to be spelled properly. You forget how to play with the visual parts of the words, the double entendres. So he wrote.
Right.
So on a basic level, he is violating the grammar standards of regular education by making a book that plays every sentence with the order of the letters. That's loosening up your mind. And
another thing that I found very interesting lately is that he has all these genealogies of kings in the Finnegan's Wake. And many of the characters that Ion mentioned, the kings and the pre-electric king and all this.
Yeah, Roderick, the pre-electric king. You're saying are in Finnegan's Wake?
Yes.
Yeah.
For me, Joyce is like Nostradamus. There is a lot of like prophecy or
Yeah.
things in there that you get. I think now we're starting to really
What? Did her phone go out? Did I go out?
No, you're there.
Maybe she dropped off.
She must have dropped. Mm.
Yeah. I have her on her phone. Maybe the phone ran out. Now something just came in. This is no. So her battery's dead. Well, let me just. Bert, would you entertain Alyssa? You know, serve her a coffee or something. Just reestablish. Are you there, Bert? Maybe Bert fell out. Is that you, Bert?
Yes.
Okay, you fell out. When I click, it tells you it's unmuted or you hear a sound, so you know you're being unmuted, right?
Yeah, you hear sound.
Hey, you're breaking up. What's that about?
You're choppy.
You hear sound? I hear sound. So
Yeah, you're okay
Skype
right
in.
now.
Okay.
No. Can you hear us, Bert?
Yes, I can hear you. Loud and clear.
But you're breaking up. What's that about?
Up. Okay, so it's, okay. How about now?
No, still broken up. Maybe you need to call back in, reconnect.
Call back. Okay.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm going to get Roxy, see what happens.
I wish I could play some Zappa or something.
All right, you're back. Now we're waiting for Bert. Let's try Bert here. Is that a better connection, Bert?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better. No break.
Yes.
So, what were we talking about with that interruption? Was Roxy saying something?
Roxy was saying something.
yes, I don't know what we were talking about anymore. But yes,
No, both the letters.
I'm so saturated with
The altering
so
of the
many-
letters, the puns, the changing the linear order of letters.
Phineas Wake.
Phineas Wake. Oh yeah, that's what, I have something to tell you about Phineas Wake. At the James Joyce Society in New York one night, the head of the New York or Manhattan Freemasons came and spoke to us, and he'd become obsessed with Phineas Wake because he discovered all this Freemasonic inner knowledge that he had learned by being initiated in Freemasonic. It was all over Phineas Wake, and I think in Ulysses also. And he was very puzzled by this, so he became obsessed with Joyce. And he said he found what was interesting. I think he met the guy, or he heard about it, that a Freemason came to Joyce and, I guess was impressed with Joyce. And he told Joyce all the secrets. He violated, his oath, his vow of silence.
Damn.
But he was so impressed with Joyce, probably Ulysses, that he told Joyce everything. I found that out either through this guy or Evergreens or something. But Joyce had a lot of that knowledge, and he found it. He got it and put in there.
Yes, and that's something that, for example, Mozart also wanted the little man to sing the same songs as the emperor, and to know about these things, and he also started with this secret information in his operas, and some say he was killed because of that, because he was revealing.
Oh, some people say he was murdered?
Society.
People say he was murdered.
Yes, because his last opera, Don Giovanni, was commissioned by a mystery person that came always like with a mask, like from Venice, this type of mask, and he felt that he was being watched, and just like Marie Antoinette was killed, they sort of got rid of them too.
And you're saying Don Giovanni's about a guy with a mask?
No, he was commissioned by a mystery person that will come and see Mozart with a mask. He never knew who he but he was sort of scared because he knew
who he was.
That because he revealed some of these secret things.
Well, we've covered enough of history. Let's get into Frank a little bit more. I'll go get the book and we'll go through some names. Okay?
Yeah.
Have we exhausted your treasure of wisdom, Roxy? Have you told us everything you knew?
No, but I mean, these are the types. This is an example of how these Hermetics thought things reveal. Like, for example, we find a song by Zappa, Who is Fulcanelli?
Yeah.
And then Fulcanelli is a person that was studying all these systems of cathedrals and castles and trying to understand what was the real meaning of all these things Bob put there.
Yes. Now, look at it as the place we're going to, the Garden of Eden in the Bible, so we're going from Revelation backwards to the Garden of Eden, that already exists, and we're already there, but it's not obvious in this level of mortar. So I'm there, and you have these spin-offs of people like raiding the Garden of Eden. All these different groups, these different aristocratic groups or secret societies are raiding. They're coming in like a radio from an angle at the Garden of Eden. And the reason I'm there through a lot of it is that they're coming into my home, and I have to negotiate with them. I leave Garden of Eden, go hang out with them. And so think of it as radiating around a circle. One minute I'm interacting with Moses, next minute I'm interacting with Duke Durbino, and next time I'm with Berlusconi here in the P2 Society in Italy. You know what I mean? They all are happening beside each other.
Yeah.
And you just step on an angle, like the dodecahedron. It's just everything is just a particular angle. And so I step over here to the right, and that will put me into the temple, and those guys still struggling, trying to get here, and picture it that way. Like the angel diagram, you're in the center, and time, the events of, quote, history are on spirals overlapping each other. And you can step into each one of them anytime. They're not in a linear time sequence. So they're still there. So Ion told Roxy that she was moving towards Moses. She had not fully formed Moses' wife that she was in the Bible towards Moses. So Moses, all these scenes around us are still growing. The Duke Urbino is still trying to make his temple better. The St. Martin family is still trying to make their churches better. So the becoming part is really important. That's going to be changed. So eventually we'll see the real pyramid. So the pyramids we see are not complete.
Yes, and that will explain these anomalies of things that we don't understand how they were built, like...
They built from the same place.
Yeah, the glasses in the cathedrals, or the thing that for the cathedral of Santa Maria dei Fiori in Florence.
Yeah.
They say the construction of that cathedral marks the start of the Renaissance. So, like you said, there are some things that some people do that somehow have an effect on the environment and in...
Yeah, that's Bruno Leschi. Roxy was mentioning how I knew the name Brunelleschi. He invented the cupola, the dome.
The biggest, and they didn't know how they were going to solve that, but they will start.
They started anyway.
The cathedrals will last 200, or wherever.
Hey, Roxy,
they didn't even knew.
Yeah, they did.
And the guy that made the couple, there was like a contest to say, okay, tell us how you could do it. He was born 80 years after they started to build the cathedral, and Brunelleschi didn't show how he was going to do it, but he won.
He still convinced them.
Yes, because they say, how are you going to do it? And they say, I cannot tell you, it's a secret. But this is the thing that, who knows? Who told them? The angel, Zion, who knows?
Well, this is exactly, Roxy.
I can do it. And they think, how you're going to bring all this?
None of your business. And he was so confident. He said, well, he must know, because he won't even try to fool us. He has confidence in not telling us. That proves he knew it. He said, I don't have to tell you, fucker.
The way he convinced them, he said, okay, bring me an egg. And they brought an egg, and he asked the jury to try to make the egg stand. And nobody could, because the egg will fall to the side.
Yeah.
And they say, okay, how are you going to make it stand? And he just, Vasari says he broke the ass of the egg. He says it like that. So he broke the egg, and so then the egg was standing.
Right, it was two halves. That'd be the dome.
Yes, and they said, well, we could do that too. And he said, no, you didn't know how to do it. I know how to do it. And he won without telling how he was going to do it.
And he wasn't going to tell them, but he couldn't, because he had fucking Ion and Bob with him, and he couldn't give away that secret.
And he never built anything before, and he was not an architect. He was only...
That's like me.
Like a ceramist.
You're making me...
But he was an alchemist.
Yeah, listen to this, Roxy. We go step by step with Ion. We have no idea when we started making the answer to cancer how to do it. He said he'd tell us as we went. We didn't know how to do the coal play, and he told us we went. And so we just started building things. We're still doing that, and we don't know ultimately how to finish it. But we have confidence that Ian will tell us at the right time what the next step is. So we're building it the same way as those guys. We don't know what we're doing.
Like, yes, you're doing this big magnus opus.
Right.
Without knowing how, but just start.
We just start with Ian. We just say, well, we'll keep talking to this phenomenon. We believe in the phenomenon to keep talking to it, despite universal ridicule.
But for me, this type of metanoia, going back and finding all these things,
right,
is like a validation, a confirmation that it has been like this always. That I mean, all humanity is crazy, but they were trying to achieve the completion.
Yeah.
The opus remagnus, and we just share what
we're just thinking while we work. So Roxy came forth for the Ion work because her mother forced her to. And here's the other thing. Her mother produced 4 interesting women. They're all like activists in some way. One is a people's activist in Seattle. Another one is a big TV guru in Mexico City. So you've got Roxy in the art world, or whatever she is. Then she gets into Iondom. Then you got the other sister is a TV evangelist. And Then you have another one in Seattle, who's a folk activist. It's pretty interesting what these Larrainzar
this
women
compulsion that we have to.
Yeah, you're following your great aunt. I mean, Roxy wanted to be a nun, Alyssa, when she was 13 and 14 because of her family tradition. She goes to the convent and her and her friend treated so badly. She said, "Fuck that," and became a radical artist. She went to the pagan side.
I went to Ireland. But I knew I was fine.
Or cash flow and all these things. He was just constantly couldn't stop listening to everything Ion said. He was driven by it. And it drove her boyfriend nuts.
Because I always wanted to know many things Ion was explaining, and it made sense.
Yeah, the things that Ion brought up, you already were interested in.
Yes. Yeah, so this is the...
This is the
but who's Funcanelli?
At the end of the restaurant at the end of the galaxy.
What the Funcanelli?
Yeah. What the Funcanelli? Hey, that just reminds me of something. You're going Funcanelli, and I'm going, what the fuck, Ellie? I got an email from Ellie, Michael Roselle.
No, but another thing is...
Wait. Did you know what I mean by Ellie? You know who Ellie is? Ellie is Michael Reed's wife, and she ran the Evergreen Sessions. Out of the blue, she asked me to be her friend.
What the fuck, Ellie with Ellie?
Yeah, what the fuck's up with Ellie? She wants me to be her friend on Facebook. Or she wanted her to be my friend, whatever it is. But she emailed me. First time she's ever asked me for anything since Michael died. So, Ellie, what the fuck's up with Ellie is embedded in fucking Ellie.
Yeah.
Bob.
Yeah.
But
Alyssa. Now remember, Alyssa, your name is a key name in Phineas Wake. What's her name? Anne Olivia Pluribel is often called Alyssa. There's variations on Alyssa, and there's also the daughter, Issy. You've got Issy in your name, so your name fits the school.
Oh, yeah.
So
hey,
what were you
I can
say?
tell my delay is happening. And I want to call back in and see if it can stop.
Okay, all right. Now, I wonder if there's something... What's a recording?
Yes, maybe we should just listen to the Ring of Fire by Zappa.
Yes, I played it earlier. You want to hear it again?
Oh,
yeah, for the people here, for the Zappa people.
Yeah, for the record.
For the record, yes. Ring of Fire.
Because that would be one of the translations we could make of Funcanelli.
Yes.
Another answer to the Funcanelli, who the fuck is Funcanelli, is Bob is Funcanelli because he's in the middle of the Ring of Fire. He's in Hawaii.
Right, we're right in the middle of the Ring of Fire. That's right. I think there's a story that Zappa met Johnny Cash, invited him to his concert, and he didn't come.
Really?
Yeah, and then Frank did the song anyway. But I think I'm right on that. I remember there was some little... I thought, Johnny Cash is probably too proper of a guy of the country. Zappa never liked country music. He basically refused to do country music. That was one thing he was pissed off at, old friends of his would say. So who knows what Cash figured out and why he didn't come. But Frank did it. Ring of Fire. So...
for Ian.
For Ian.
For Bob.
For Bob. Yes, I asked for it. And, they did it. And it's a joking one. It's a joking put on. So make sure the sound is working.
Maybe that's what Johnny Cash knew, that Frank may have was very manipulative or had a lot of satire that he was going to make fun of him, maybe. Maybe that's what Johnny Cash or his handlers sensed.
Yeah. And also, remember, Johnny, I don't know how much Johnny Cash was a figure in the Christian fundamentalist movement. I don't know. They probably all liked him, but I don't know what he did with them. But Frank was the enemy of the evangelist. You know, that was known. So that many of his audience might have been these kind of Christian fundamentalists, and he knew it wouldn't be good to be seen with Zappa. All right. We can always ask Ion, right? We can always check with Ion about the fact. The fact. Okay, so...
We want to open the lotus and connect the world.
Yeah.
Stop asking this nonsense.
Okay, for one last time, we play the Ring of Fire.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't make it. Did I make some environmental noises? I thought I was on mute.
No.
Okay, good.
I just heard the music.
Yeah, you just heard the music. So what that we just heard was Road Ladies from 1970, the album Chunga's Revenge. Are you guys hearing an echo? No.
Yes, but not
yes,
that.
I do.
Okay, I have to turn some things off. Okay, just a second. I thought I'd play Ring of Fire twice. I actually like the song. I like the way they do it.
I like the way he comments everything, like, that's right, yes, that's right.
Yes. I think some people find that...
Like, he even more. But that's the thing, I mean, the Ring of Fire, the fire is like a big thing now in the completion. And he's presenting the Ring of Fire in this funny way, the satire.
Obviously satirizing Johnny Cash. To me, it's quite put on, the way they're doing it.
Yes, but, I mean, the thing that for Ian, this is like something big, the Ring of Fire.
Ian presents the Ring of Fire as a serious song. You know, it doesn't think it should be satirized. It's an important song.
But that's part of the satire. We're talking about this end of the opus magnus that took so long. Everybody was doing this with sometimes all their lives.
Yeah.
And now we just make fun of everything.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so now I guess I've got to open it for Alyssa. She probably came in and I forgot to do it. That's you, right, Alyssa? You're in.
Yes.
Okay. Did you want to say something before we do the freakout list?
This is all really good material.
Did you like that Road Ladies? Did you like Frank's guitar and Road Ladies? What you just heard, did you like that?
Yeah,
Zappa
but
guitar?
going back... Yeah, it was good. We don't need to go back into it, but if you guys, like, on your own time, listen to what was the title of the Falconelli piece by Zappa?
But who is Falconelli? But it begins with but. But who is Falconelli? Yeah, but who? But.
Yeah. It might be interesting to you to listen to the bass line that happens through that piece as well, because obviously the guitar is very, ornamental and doing all these awesome things that Roxy was sort of covering with the
song.
Canon and everything, but the bass line definitely has a presence, and it is also ionic being there.
All right, you want me to replay it so we can listen to that? You said we didn't have to, but you want to hear it again, Roxy?
Yeah, Yes.
Yeah, let's hear it again. Now that we know so much more after a couple of hours in Roxy's classroom, we're super informed about what this thing's about.
Well, it's just a pretext to talk about Bob.
Yeah, that's right. Now, you notice
after the Ring of Fire, it went into some New York DJ complaining about carts on the sidewalk. That's on my iTunes list of 1,200 Zappa songs, but there's a couple of weirdnesses that got in there, so I don't know where that came from. I don't know who he is, and thought I'd listen for a second. But it always hops to another song. It doesn't hop it chronologically. It just hops somewheres. So here we go. Oh, jeez, I think I turned the sound off. Sorry. All right. No, not going to make it.
But I really like the phrase, you only have groupies and promoters to love you.
Yeah, yeah. And he misses his old lady mama back in the ranch, house in the country. Now, he's talking about Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young and those guys, the country rockers that was coming in right then in 1970. Okay, so we got that.
Hello. Fulcanelli.
I'm just turning off all the buttons.
Here.
Right, we still have an echo. Okay.
But then I don't remember if we really said that the identity of Fulcanelli is not known. Many think it's a group of persons.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because here's my problem.
One.
I asked if I could find it. I'll maybe take a look. I asked the Evergreens about Fulcanelli, and they talked about him as being a guy in 1600 or something. So.
Well, he's supposed to be an eternal, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would fit. I'll look it up while we're playing later when I'm playing some recordings. So I can look up Fulcanelli. Maybe I can play what the Evergreens said about him. But that's a good point. The Evergreens didn't tell me. I don't know who I was thinking of. I don't know if I knew anything. Maybe I knew about the Morning of the Magicians. But I remember thinking, well, that's odd that he lived back in the 1600s. But, of course, I was not informed then of us living for long stretches. Okay, so we're now going to see what we can find in Frank. And I'm going to click off that. If I click off this button that Bill doesn't like me to play with,
line muted.
That creates some quiet. I have to remember. Yeah, I have to remember to unclick.
Yes.
Yes. Now.
Yes, I was remembering in one program I saw from the French TV, an old program, one of the persons that is supposed to have met Fulcanelli, he was also telling about a man who repaired clocks in Paris. He was supposed to have died, and there was a funeral and everything, and then the man was seen again, and he was saying that there are these persons that fake their death, but don't die, and they're around.
The Fulcanelli said that?
No, one of the students
or the
persons that knew him. He was telling about somebody else.
Right.
That I think somebody even made a song about that, and it was even in the news or something in that time that this person was supposed to be dead, and they had the funerals, and then he was seen and recognized.
Well, what we've learned from Ion, we now talk and think this way, and we can see the references to breadcrumbs and different historical points, like you're citing Fulcanelli. But the purpose of Ion, one of the purposes was to have the little man hear about this stuff. So the elites, the aristocrats, whatever they are, they talked about this all the time and taught it. But they kept it to the little groups. We're making this available for 5 billion people, 7 billion people, to hear how. And that's actually what the Evereens told me years ago. They said, Bob, your role is to present information that the people don't know about, and you're presenting the perspective of other people that the average man doesn't know about. And that's what we're doing here. We're presenting the perspective of the subculture of eternal people. This is anthropology. We've discovered this tribe of eternals that we're telling everybody about.
Yeah.
Wow.
These freaks.
These freaks.
Freak out.
Yeah, freak is free. So I'm just going to check and see if anybody wants to say something for a minute or two. There's a lot of people listening. So, Madeline, do you have something to say? Question, statement? Madeline? I don't know. Kim came in right away. I don't know if she knew I was going to say that. Okay, so Madeline's not saying anything. Kim, did you want to say something? I assume that. Yeah. That's not Kim. It's a New Jersey number. Who is this? 856.
It's your favorite guy, Kyle.
Kyle. Do you have anything you want to say? You want to promote Grand Funk Railroad, or what's on your agenda tonight?
No, but I would appreciate if you let me talk to Ian, because I've got this back problem I've had for many years. And I went to my doctor, and I'm wanted to get an MRI, and I'm thinking about having surgery. So did you? Oh wait, yeah, you can talk to Ian next week. Did you call in earlier when Ian was here? Yeah, and I sit right there to the last end, hoping to get on, and you didn't get me on, but that's all right. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it tomorrow.
Oh, hey, Kyle, are you not doing surgery this coming week?
No, I'm not going to do it at all unless he tells me he thinks it would be advantageous, because I'm okay, but I just have never-ending low-grade pain. And if
Okay, so Kyle, next week Ian will be here for many longer hours, so we'll put you in next week, okay?
Okay. One other thing, Bob. I don't know how this happened, but I was just going over your website, and I was going back through the whatever you call it, the archives, and seriously, it was total synchronicity. I clicked on the picture, had a picture of Elvis, so I said, let me click on this and see what they were talking about. And it turned out that was the first time that I came on the show. And I'm telling you, you should go back and listen to the last 2 hours of that show. It starts off, the second hour starts off.
What's the date?
June the 14th, 2014.
Okay. All right. I don't want to go on too long.
Okay, well, just let me give you it's crazy.
But how is there a picture of Elvis in our archives?
It's a picture of him with a sweater on when he's real young. I don't know. I don't even know how I got there.
Kyle, where are the pictures of Elvis in our archive? There's something Ginny put there? I have never heard of this. Okay, you're
let me see. I'll back it up. Guy still got it on.
Well, we're not going to get... You do it. I'm moving forward. Okay.
Okay, but I'm telling you...
Probably, is it on ionandbob.com?
Ionandbob.com?
Chief?
Is that where it is?
It's great.
Is it on ionandbob.com?
Yes.
Okay, maybe Ed put it up. Okay, that makes sense. All right.
Ed does pictures.
And, and Kyle did a lot with Elvis, so that's why the synchronicity is he's on the one with the picture. I think that's Kyle's.
Right, that's the only reason I clicked there.
Okay, good.
That's the only reason.
All right, that's a very good reason. All right, we'll do someone else. So, Corbin. Anything you want to say, Corbin, if you're still awake? No, he's gone. Susanna, did you want to say something? No, Susanna. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, Susanna, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, wow, good stuff.
Good. We knew we had some positive reinforcement from you. All right,
Have to
that's all you
admit,
want
I
to
dozed
say?
in and out.
You were the one that asked about the thing that brought the Pergamon.
Say it again, Roxy.
Yeah, I was talking about Pergamon with her.
With you, Susanna.
Right. We're talking about the candle, the lampstands.
Right.
And he said I couldn't jump past the churches. The Pergamons and the others. He listed them. Or they listed them. So I need to listen to that video some more, and then what you talked about tonight was good stuff, too. I can't remember.
It's because at the end he said the churches are the banks, and the Church of Pergamon is the Deutsche Bank.
Right.
Oh.
Which is a major bank today.
So because of all these changes in the economy and in the currencies, maybe that's something that has to happen before the lamps. All
right.
these things going on now.
Yes. Did you hear me play the song by a band called Wilco called Impossible Germany? I played that. Yeah, I have to look up the lyrics. I didn't get all that you were saying, but...
Oh, that's a great song.
Yeah, Impossible Germany. Who is Wilco? Is that a band that's been around for a while?
Yeah, they were like a early 2000s era indie band that got pretty successful before things with the digital platform really started changing.
They got in there just...
They're kind of one of the more contemporary indie bands, like...
Right.
Yeah.
In the last phase before digital chaos. Digital collapse.
Yeah, and there's quite a solo in that, too. It's kind of a...
Yes, it was good. The one I played. Yeah, excellent solo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's Nels Klein. He's kind of like a... Anyway, yeah.
A what? He's kind of like what?
Oh, I thought you had moved on. He's just like... Nels Klein is a sort of a virtuoso on guitar, so it's kind of cool because some of his candor of how he plays is very obvious. And I wonder what he would think of Zappa's stuff.
Right. Okay, thank you. Sean, did you want to say something?
Hi, Bob.
Yes.
Yes, I just very good show, and yeah, I got prompted to look at light again, how light particles move and stuff, and like when our cells divide, we make light. So I want to ask Ian about what the RNA drops, if that makes more light in the cell division. But we actually, where he says B, salt, and light, we actually, every time our cells divide, photons explode.
All right.
Yeah, so that's
good.
quite cool.
All right. Well, you can do that. All right. And nothing to say about Zappa?
I listened to some of it on a lot of good things in there. It's just too much for me to listen to all at once. With all the other stuff.
But what do you think of Zappa or his music?
I really think, like you said, he was most definitely onto something, and marvelous human creator. He saw these things, and it's worth it. It's worth the time you're giving him.
Good. All right, thank you.
To dig up.
All right, and then Robert, did you have anything to say, Robert?
Can you hear me?
Yes, you blind bastard. I was telling you, you got it all over us because you're fucking blind. We're still fucking sighted.
Well, after I had to take a nap, so now about after 4 in the morning here. But, when I went back to my bedroom, and I got on the miniature tramp. I have a couple of rebounders, and I have lost my house keys 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I felt something under my foot, and there they were. And I thought, oh, my God, I lost my new set of keys. But these were the old set. And I thought, but how'd that happen? I mean, we look everywhere for them.
Well, I talked about losing. Hey, Robert, you're a neophyte, a novice in Iondom. When we first were involved with Ion, there was all this talk about losing keys into parallel worlds and then them popping back. So you're having one of the original experiences of an early Ionet with your keys.
Oh, another thing I was going to ask Ion, I think last year, sometime a couple years ago, I put my credit card on the counter in a coffee house, and I felt, this is after I'd done a lot of releasing, like can you let go of disapproval of this and that and so on, and I was feeling really good, and then I felt something in my left hand. I thought, I wonder if this thing could stand up right by itself, right on the edge. And I lift up my hand, and it was standing up. I mean, there was nothing. Well, it felt like a force field around it. And I was going to ask about that. And I haven't been able to do that except one other time, and that was in the same place.
Well, what was standing? You didn't tell us what was standing.
Well, it shouldn't be able to. There's no way it could do that unless it's been
what is it?
held.
What is it? You're not telling us the noun of the paragraph. What is it that was standing?
Oh, the credit card.
Oh, okay, the credit card.
It's like when you usually you take your credit card out, or in this case it was a card, and I was holding that edge up, on the counter. The bottom of it was on the counter, and the top of it was on my hand, and it just I felt a force field around it, and I just lift my hand up, and I repeated this process several weeks later, and in front of a witness too. But normally I can't even begin to do that. And I was going to ask about the state. I was in a really good state of mind, or whatever. I was feeling really good, and other times it just doesn't work. I mean, there's no way it could work. I call it the card trick, and I thought maybe this is a way of testing to see where I'm at in my psyche, so to speak.
No, that's good. You can ask Ian about that.
I know it's such a small thing, but still.
No, it's important to you. Okay, we're going to move on. We got the story. Standing credit card, and you can ask it next week. All right, so I think that's our lurkers. Well, here's anonymous at the bottom. Who's this anonymous at the bottom? Anonymous. So I've got you, Bert, right? All right, you sound wack. Yes. You sound weird. Who are you giggling in the distance?
Roxy, it was Roxy.
What? Who are you? Hey, Bert, did you get her name?
No, didn't get her name. I just heard a mumble or something.
Roxy, did you get her name?
No.
It sounded like she said, Roxy. No, Parallel World Roxy.
No, it was Roxy. It was Roxy that giggled.
No. I'm very quiet.
No, I can see.
No?
She didn't speak through that. I can see on the template who's speaking.
Oh, who is that?
Roxy's.
I'm on the phone.
Yeah, I think it's Roxy from 2009. Weak Roxy. Despondent, melancholy Roxy. Well, who is speak? Come on, Anonymous. Speak up. Who are you? Look at that. They just hide. They won't say anything. Come on. Stop saying something. What? Who are you?
What?
That's
Come on,
like Roxy.
Speak, Forsling.
No, man. Who is it? Do it again.
Be part of the love feast.
Yes. That's our Roxy. Who's this other one? Come on, Anonymous. Speak again. Here she is. What? What? Speak. Come on. Hey. I can see the red on the template. I can see her speaking, but she's not saying much. She's coughing. Did you wander into the wrong world? Yeah, see, she's coughing. Ahem. We're talking to you. You.
Are you talking to me?
That was Roxy. No, this is the other one. Come on, who are you? Speak. You're coughing. Wait a minute. That was Roxy.
No.
Okay,
yes, it was.
Yeah. There was another Roxy. You sound like it.
I repeated it, guys. It was me.
Yes, it did.
I repeated it.
No, you're not coming through her speaker. I can see her speaker. There's no red coming out. You guys are speaking through other speakers. Okay, come on. Anonymous one. Cough again. Either she doesn't understand we're talking to her, and she's just listening or not listening, or she's playing.
Oh yeah, maybe her thing is muted.
No, I've unmuted it. Do you want to speak?
No, but like she has us muted. She has us muted, maybe.
There she is. She just made a big noise. I think it's like a monster.
Hello.
You know. Hello, monster. They're rustling around in the back basement. Speak again. Come on. Okay, let's get going. Block her out. Him or her out. So we got 1, 2, 3 people. And Susanna. We block Susanna. And, oh, Madeline. But she's not here. I've only got 2 people. Are you there, Bert?
Yes.
Okay, are you there, Roxy?
You hear me?
Yes, Bert. And Roxy, can you just speak? Roxy. Someone just coughed. Roxy, what happened to Roxy? Lucky I'm patient. Are you there, Alyssa?
Yes.
Okay. You got Bert and Alyssa. Where did Roxy go? You were here. Are you the mystery person, Roxy? Oh. Did I phone her? She's been disconnected again, I think. Right? So I got to phone her.
Oh yeah.
Try that. Yeah.
Originally you phoned her, yeah.
Yeah, she was on my line, so I got to phone back. Okay.
Bert, how do I send you a message on Dude?
You have to, I guess you have to post more to get the,
oh yeah, I have to post more.
Crypto.
Oh man.
That's probably why.
Just Skype?
Did you follow what Carolyn does? Do you follow what? Okay.
Who are you asking, Bert?
Alyssa. I was going to ask her if she follows Carolyn's work.
Yeah, Alyssa. Are you on board?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
All right. Did you listen on Monday? I think I've seen you being there on Monday. Right? You've been in there.
Yeah, I was around for a little while I was making dinner.
Right. Okay, let's go forward.
Bert.
All right. We get up to 144. Remember Preston Love, jazz saxophonist and composer, worked with such renowned artists as Billie Holiday and Ray Charles, among many others. So this is the freak-out list. Zappa's list of 179 names. We'll finish it tonight. 145 is Slim Harp. What?
That's exciting.
Right. Slim Harpo, blues musician, one of the greatest exponents of blues harmonica. His song, I'm a King Bee, was a favorite of the young Frank Zappa. And then there's Carl Cohen, K-O-H-N, Austrian composer, musicologist, taught composition at Pomona College, where his students include the young Frank Zappa. In Frank Zappa's brother's biography of Zappa, or memoir, he talks about Frank with some other woman. They go and visit this teacher at the University of Pomona College, and Zappa asks if he can sit in on the courses and not pay, probably not pay and not get a credit. And Carl Cohen immediately recognized Zappa was pretty talented and let him sit in. But what astounded Carl Cohen, here's Zappa sitting in the class, and they had to write up compositions. He said Zappa would do it in ink, the most professional way, and never make a mistake. He was amazed at how Frank wrote out his compositions. And he was just auditing. He wasn't even in the class, and he wasn't going to get a credit. So Frank was learning for its own reason, for itself. Then there's another guy, Bob Narciso, personal friend of Frank Zappa from his days at Studio Z, the 63-65 period. Likely to have been just a friend and not a musical associate. What's that? Watch yourself there. Johnny Guitar Watson, blues, R&B guitar player, one of the finest of his or any other era, and a huge influence on Zappa. They would become friends later, remaining so for the rest of Zappa's life. Tim Sullivan, personal friend of Frank Zappa, producer and director of Run Home Slow, which Zappa scored. I think that's a high school teacher, Tim Sullivan, but it should say that. Anyways, he directed Run Home Slow, and Zappa eventually got paid for it, and I think he bought some props for that, or he bought the studio, or he bought both. And it's Paul Buff Studio. 150, Sonny Tufts, American actor whose career was not particularly distinguished, but whose name was referenced in jokes for years, notably in the Rocky and Bullwinkle series. So there's Frank picking up the populist language. And there's a guy referencing jokes, like a meme. He made the list. John Wayne, legendary American actor and man's man, also known as the Duke. And it says, possible conceptual continuity alert, because you have the Duke of Prunes, the Duke this and the Duke that in some of Zappa's lyrics. So the author here says, possible conceptual continuity alert that John Wayne was called the Duke. Had a notable altercation with Zappa during a mother's performance of the... Who's coughing? Alyssa? Yeah.
The mystery coughing woman.
All right, just mute, just temporarily. Well, you can't mute, can you? Because you're on my line.
No, but it was not me.
Oh, it had to be Alyssa.
It wasn't
right,
me.
Alyssa?
No.
Well,
no, it wasn't me.
Who could cough? It wasn't Bert. Right, Bert? Hey, Roxy, would you...
No, it was me.
No, Roxy.
No, it was not me.
Oh, maybe I've opened that. I forgot to block the anonymous person. Okay, so I'll block that. Yeah, it's the anonymous person. Because you've got here... I forgot that Roxy is in my phone, not on the template. Okay, so we got Bert and Alyssa. So John Wayne, had a notable altercation with Zappa during a mother's performance of Whiskey A Go-Go in 1965, the result of which was John Wayne, drunkenly clambering on stage during the show to proclaim his intent to run for the presidency of the United States, as recalled by Zappa in the Real Frank Zappa book. He clambered drunkenly on stage and said he's going to run for president. Another story is I remember Zappa was sitting outside a club, and Wayne came out, and he kind of mocked Frank, the way he was dressed or something. That was when Frank was a nobody, and he didn't like that. So, Clarence Gatemouth Brown, American blues multi-instrumentalist, another huge influence on Zappa, who treasured his copies of songs such as Okie Dokie Stomp. Junior Madeo, also known as Elwood Junior Madeo, guitarist for Zappa's high school bands called the Ramblers and later the Blackouts. His speaking voice can be heard on the track called The Blackouts, issued on the album The Lost Episodes in 1996. Jeff Harris, friend of Frank Zappa during his brief period attending Mission Bay High School in San Diego. Zappa would later fondly recall the time spent with Jeff Harris making up little skits, presumably of a comedic nature with Harris. They made up little skits. Bobby Adler, friend of Frank Zappa from his time in Lancaster, introduced Frank and his brother Bobby to the delights of an alcoholic beverage by the name of white port and lemon juice. What do you think of that? He's citing a guy who turned him on to an alcohol drink. Well, there's your kitchen. Everybody contributes. And he did a song. As a matter of fact, let's just give you a taste of that song. Wine. It's a good song. Yeah, wine, port, and lemon juice. What if he mentions this guy? What's his name? Bobby Adler. Wine, port, and lemon juice. Now I got to start adjusting the buttons, all right?
Yeah.
Wine, port, and lemon. WPLJ. There's a 1986 version, a 1969, 69, many versions. So, what do I have to do to, anybody remember what buttons I got to press? Want to come over and help me? I think that's everything. I have a nice idea. I think that the more sensitive of you will be quite touched by this idea. What we have here... Oh,
no.
Yes. You know who you are. You're a sensitive one. He lists these events in his life. Now, following the Ionic principle of enjoy yourself in the moment, now, enjoying yourself. So, Mozart or Bach, when they listed their influence, they never cited a great drinking night they had someplace in Munich. One night, I had this great party. It was great. Definite influence on my creativity. You know? It's like he's citing the joy of living, his environment of himself. And so he cites these interesting people that maybe did something with him one night or one weekend that was important, or maybe not even important. He just has a great memory of it. Now that's I don't think people. Sorry, I hope I was clear. I had my mic up. I don't think anybody has ever cited influences like that.
No.
I mean, he probably played.
That's cool.
He played hooky one day.
Some people mention some composers, but not like the friend, the one that gives you the drink. And
He probably played hooky one day. I know that he blew up the toilets in a high school, maybe junior high school. The guy he did that with, it probably had all kinds of interesting effects on him, whether I don't know if he got caught or not, but that's a memorable transformation in his life, the effect of doing that. So he cites that as an influence. That's being aware of your being made up of many environmental factors, not saying, oh, I read this book or that book or this literate subject topics. This is what's unique. I mean, I have I'd be really good at that. I could cite all kinds of neat times I had with different people. As a matter of fact, if I ever got an Oscar or some big thing that had big honors, that's what I'd do. I would try to cite people that I haven't spoken to in 60 years, and just mention something really particular and see if that guy would hear it. I'd love to do that. Be really obscure. So Frank's doing that. So that was Bobby Adler, friend of Frank Zappa from his time in Lancaster, introduced Frank and his brother Bobby to the delights of an alcoholic beverage by the name of white port and lemon juice. Daddy O'Curtis Crump, unknown personage, possibly a personal friend of Zappa or a parallel worlder who invaded Frank's kitchen. No, sorry, that was not me. Possibly a personal friend of Zappa or a local entertainer of some sort. I know that Zappa, he tells his story, he was out in the desert in those days when nobody knew anything, and he was at a club or some place, and he met this guy, and the guy took him back to his hovel of a home, and they walked in, and the guy had on his record player a Stravinsky opus, some major Stravinsky thing that Zappa loved and played, but had never mentioned it to anybody, because nobody in the desert town there knew who Stravinsky was. But there in the desert, he found this guy who knew Stravinsky, and he talked about this, 10 years later in an interview.
Wow,
that's pretty neat. He talked about this odd guy, and he had a pretty unique trailer with these kind of objects in it. So that's pretty neat. Karl-Heinz Stockhausen, 157. Karl-Heinz Stockhausen, German composer, a pioneer in the field of electronic music, and a huge influence on a number of progressively minded composers of the day in both the serious and rock music fields. Joe Houston, jazz R&B saxophone player. His All Night Long was one of Zappa's favorite songs and was covered by the Mothers of Invention in 1969. Zappa misspelled Houston on the list. He spelled it H-U-S-T-O-N rather than H-O-U. H-O-U-S-T-O-N. Chuck Higgins, R&B saxophone player. His Pachuco Hop was a favorite of Zappa's and was covered by the Mothers of Invention in 1969. Did you ever hear the term Pachuco rock or wop or anything in Mexico, Roxy? Is that a term? It's an L.A. term for the Mexicans in L.A.
Yeah, only the Pachuco, but that I don't.
What is Pachuco to you?
Yeah, these were in the 40s, 50s, the Mexican
Zoot Suiters
to America.
The Zoot Suiters.
Yes, they had this very extreme look.
Right.
Like they will wear very, very white pants.
Yes.
The contrary of now that the young people use them very low. They will use it very high. Very long jackets, and sometimes they have feathers on their hats.
Right. What did the word Pachuco mean?
It's some type of slang. I don't know exactly what they will refer to. I only know it's this type of fashion.
Right. Okay. 160. Big J. McNeely, another R&B sax player, a particular favorite of Zappa, who owns several. Zappa owns several of McNeely's recordings. Jim Sherwood, also known as Motorhead, lifelong friend of Zappa, lived at Studio Z in Cucamonga for a time, roadie for and later member of the Mothers of Invention. And I would add, Carol and I were with Motorhead in the little cottage that's on the cover of Grand Wazoo the night that that Zappa was with John Lennon, closing the Fillmore East. I think that's June 4th and 5th, 1971. That night, I was in Frank's house while he was with Lennon. That must mean something in terms of interpersonal alchemy. I was explaining earlier, alchemy is walking around interacting with people, with your body. I was when finally Frank and Lennon played together, I was in Frank's house. Isn't that amazing? That's pretty alchemical.
And now you're here.
Now I'm here, and you guys are in my ear.
Yeah.
We're in everybody else's ear that's listening. Actually, we're in their central nervous system, not the ear. So Motorhead, who just passed away recently, there was an interview with him. Like, I guess he left L.A. and he's wearing a cowboy uniform, and he's like in Colorado or someplace, and they interviewed him for some documentary, and he was remembering Zappa, and he started crying in the interview. That was interesting. And this is a guy who knew Frank in high school. Also, crashed at Frank's. 162, Sandy Schwainkamp, girlfriend of Zappa during his days at Antelope Valley High School. Her parents allegedly moved her to a private school when they felt that their daughter was getting too close to the young Mr. Zappa. Now, in the interview that Bob Marshall and I did with Zappa brings up a girlfriend in high school that he was having sex with, and her parents moved them away. He didn't give the name, but I guess this is who it is. They forced the daughter, moved her or the family, everything moved. And I always wonder if that affected Zappa emotionally in terms of, was it his first love, long love? Did he remember? Did he care? Probably not. Sandy Schwainkamp, girlfriend of Zappa during his days at Antelope Valley High School. Her parents allegedly moved her to a private school when they felt that their daughter was getting too close to the young Mr. Zappa. Nadine Reyes, friend of Frank Zappa, a fellow attendee of Antelope Valley High School. Kay Sherman, Frank's first wife. The dissolution of their marriage had a profound effect on his worldview. On the list, it's spelled K-A-Y-E, but here it's K-A-Y. Donald Woods, vocalist for two of Zappa's favorite doo-wop combos, the Medallions and the Bel Airs, wrote and recorded the song The Man from Utopia, which Zappa covered for the album of the same name in 1983. Richard Berry, R&B pianist, vocalist, and composer, wrote that all-time conceptual continuity smash, Louie Louie. Now, they're saying that if Zappa repeats something, that's, one album, next album, one scene, another scene, repeats Louie Louie. They're calling that conceptual continuity. I don't think that's content. I don't think that's conceptual continuity. Don't know if I could define it, but I wouldn't want to limit it to just something being repeated. So I raised that question. What would be conceptual continuity if it wasn't just some repeating motif? Huggy Boy, Los Angeles area disc jockey, real name Dick Hugg, who spun a lot of Zappa's favorite rock and R&B records. Vernon Green, R&B vocalist, leader of one of Zappa's favorite doo-wop combos, the Medallions. We had that earlier. That was Donald Woods, vocalist for the Medallions. Vernon Green, vocalist for the Medallions, or he was in there. I don't know if he was vocalist for them. Well, I guess if it's doo-wop, they're all vocalists, so yes, he was. Coined the immortal line, quote, "Let me whisper sweet words of pismotality," in his song The Letter. Misspelled Green with an E by Zappa on the list. "Let me whisper sweet words of pismotality," in his song The Letter. Hunter Hancock, Los Angeles area disc jockey, a favorite of Zappa's, who would tune in to hear his favorite R&B and rock records being played by Hunter Hancock. Now, we're at 170, so this is the countdown up to 179. Willie Mae Thornton, also known as Big Mama, blues vocalist and songwriter, wrote the classic Hound Dog, made famous by Elvis Presley. 171, Lightning Slim, also known as Otis Hicks, blues guitar player and a notable influence on Zappa, though not one he discussed publicly very often. 172, Roger Huntington Sessions, American composer, made extensive use of serial and atonal compositional techniques, which Zappa also incorporated into his own compositional palette.